So last year, my 26M, I guess wife, 28F, at that time was apparently going through self-issues. I was blinded, and we also were both at that time on a really bad path of snow, ice and pills and other stuff. I myself at the time was trying to quit and going through a sort of depression, where I wouldn't talk to anyone, not even close friends or family. Or my wife at that time. She ended up just leaving me for like 2 days on a lie that she went to go take care of her friend's children. I allowed her freedom. She would also steal money from me at the time. I didn't care. I didn't think she would ever cheat on me since she had told me about her previous ex, and how he cheated on her, and how it hurt her. I did want to break up around this time too, or like to have a break from the world. I also was sick, I think COVID, and every day I felt like crap. Physically. Emotionally, it was hard to even show anything. She would constantly need validation that I loved her, no matter what I did. So I didn't question her when she said it was a female friend and involved her child. I thought she needed something to make herself feel better. Apparently Not was having sex with someone else. That made her feel better at the time. She never formally broke up with me before that. We were living together. In her grandmother's house. She also had no clue what was going on until I got worried on the third day, and she kept ignoring me. I got worried she went to jail or worse. So her grandmother called, and I had to hear from her grandmother that she was with another man. I feel like that caused me some trauma there just by how I found out and her lying. Eventually I kinda moved on, and she and her new boyfriend apparently needed me for pills. I wanted none of that crap. I won't lie, I had very evil thoughts of revenge, but I couldn't do anything and didn't want to end up what I hated. So I started talking to other girls. During this time she apparently thought she was pregnant by this other dude and hit me up wanting to be friends. I should have blocked her. Anyways, I felt bad for her, and somehow she ended up in my bed again. I was drinking heavily during this time. I knew I made a mistake. Other things happened and I went to jail for causing a scene at her house, which was a bad move to go over when I found her messages talking crap about me to other people. So did her apparently new meth head boyfriend end up going to jail at this time too for stealing copper or something ice related? Fast forward to when I get out months later, and she says she wants to make it work with me, and how she was stupid for what she did and regrets it and hates herself. I tried for a month or two to see if I could move past what she did, but I can't. It's barely been like half a year since that happened. Last September. Now at this time, we are living together in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I literally told her I don't consider her my girlfriend, and I feel she thinks she still has a chance. I told her to get over me, and that if anything we can be friends but nothing else. I can't change her feelings, it seems. Things have also been going on with friends like this lately, and it's making me not want to even get in relationships anymore with all this drama. I don't know if she understands I don't love her anymore because of that act. I can't. I tried. We even were talking about letting me cheat on her, but I can't do that. She only says that, but I know that would hurt her. So I had to end our romantic relationship. I don't want to hurt anybody or myself anymore. Edit, I have quit the hard pills, and so has she now, by the way. Well, except her prescription, which sometimes affects her. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. I think that you are on the path to a very bright future if you can stay away from her. You have a lot of good qualities and show the ability to make good decisions that are not only self-aware, but also reflective of someone who does not want to be destructive or weighed down by the past. I am so proud of you for stopping the pill use. But now you need to quit her, and for good. It seems very obvious that despite her also quitting pills, she's not good for you and seems to be holding you back. Sometimes you have to just sit people down and say, look, I'm sorry, but this is my truth, and be 100% frank and honest with no room for interpretation. Comment 2. Clean break and no contact. You are on a road to recovery, and she is self-destructive. Surround yourself with worthy people, and cut the cancer out of your life. Good luck, internet strangers. Spotted wife's messages on forum, and she broke down crying when I confronted her. I, 33M, met my wife, 31F, 13 years ago. I was her first boyfriend, first everything. We dated for 2 years and decided to get married. We do have kind of an insular marriage, meaning that we don't go out that much and we don't have many friends. Each of our best friends coincidentally left the country a couple of years ago, and that didn't help much either. I consider myself a very faithful person, mostly because I come from a broken family, and I had to witness everything my mom had to suffer. I would never consider cheating, and I consider myself 100% honest with my wife in every aspect. For all these years she has also shown me to be very faithful and trustworthy. For example, she has always given me full access to her passwords, including social networks, cell phone, bank accounts, etc. My wife is also very distant with all men around her, to the point that she created a reputation of being too cold and serious with male co-workers. I know, because we work in the same company for over 5 years. A few weeks before COVID started, my wife lost her father after several weeks in the hospital, and a very tragic death. I'm not going to share the details, but it was hell for her for several weeks. Then, COVID started, and a few days later she turned 30. This, unbeknownst to her at that moment, triggered something similar to an existential crisis, which caused her to be depressed. This was not obvious at the time, she just recently discovered it, in retrospect, because she has always been the kind of person who buries her problems and starts and ends the day with a smile on her face. My wife's dream and mine has been to have kids, and we agreed to have them after buying the house and having financial stability. Before her father passed away, we discussed it, and we were ready to start trying. Last year, she told me that she didn't want kids anymore, because no person should suffer the way she suffered with her father. I was shocked, but decided to respect her wishes, hoping that this was just a phase. Last year, due to COVID, we started working from home. Basically, from 9 to 5, we sat at the same desk, working on our respective laptops and chatting. The job was very relaxed, and gave us plenty of time to chat. So, at 5 p.m., each of us would take their alone time until nighttime, meaning that I would usually be playing video games, or watching a show or a movie, while she started to get very active in an internet forum, of a very specific topic of her interest, which eventually led her to receive moderation privileges and such. I was truly happy she got that hobby going on, considering the situation we were living in. January 2021, after almost a year of being active in the forum, she starts talking about a guy, Vicente, and a gal in the forum who she gets along with very well. Vicente and the gal are both from Italy, and my wife thinks they are a couple. They are so nice. I honestly believe they are a couple. That would be so cute. I don't give it much thought, because in my mind, she is talking about a couple and again, happy that she found the hobby. February 2021, she tells me that we should watch a specific movie. I ask why, and she tells me Vicente says it's pretty good. Okay. A few days later she stated that she shared all the events surrounding her father's death with Vicente, so I got worried, because she is usually a very close person. I told her that this may be getting inappropriate. She agrees. Remember this discussion because it will come up later. 2 days later, I see that she is seeking through Netflix to see if there is a specific series available. I ask who recommended it, and she replies Vicente. I could smell something was wrong, mostly because she doesn't care about the series anymore. Now remember, I know her passwords and she knows mine, but I never snoop on her stuff. This time, I requested her cell phone and told her I want to review the type of interaction she has with this guy. She agreed and handed me over the phone. So, I accessed the forum and its direct messaging feature. Turns out that they have been chatting for the past 6 weeks every day, for several hours, average of 4 hours, sometimes up to 8. I knew they were chatting, but I thought it was casual and not to that extent. I'm not proud of this, but decided to read everything from the beginning. The messaging system doesn't have the option to erase messages, so I pretty much got the opportunity to read everything from start to finish without alterations. This is what I got from their interactions. They started chatting because of the common interest and the fact that they both had moderation privileges, so they needed to work together for the forum. My wife is a very private person, and when discussing this to Vicente he replies that he is too, so they agreed that they would never share their photos or their real names. Vicente has a girlfriend and states that he is faithful to her. 1 week in. Gradually, the conversation started to get more personal, involving other interests and family. Conversations are now at least 4 hours long per day. Vicente asks her, "Is your husband jealous we talk this much? My wife says he knows about you, but doesn't know the amount of time we spend talking. Should I tell him?" Vicente replies, "Don't tell him, he is going to worry over nothing." 2 weeks in. So my wife is pansexual, meaning that she doesn't care about the body or gender of the person. So she falls in love with an individual's personality. She tells him this and states that the amount of time they are spending chatting is not appropriate and they should reduce it significantly, because although she hasn't seen him in pictures, there is a chance that she can develop feelings for him, because she is pansexual and she doesn't want that. Vicente states that there is nothing to worry about, that he himself is also faithful, and this is never going to be more than a friendship. Nevertheless, my wife says we are only going to chat once per week, to catch up, and work in the forum, nothing more. Vicente agrees. 3 days pass, and they forget about this arrangement. 3 weeks in, Vicente states that he likes to write poems. She asks my wife if she would like to read his poems. My wife replies that poems can be emotionally charged, and she refuses and asks him to never share a poem with her. 4 weeks in, they share their real names. They still agreed that they are not going to share their pictures, so they have never seen each other's faces, up to this day. 5 weeks in, and the chats are mostly things about their culture, gossip about the forum, jokes, and obviously the common interest that they share due to the forum. They start to have some inside jokes. Sometimes, Vicente would say that he is feeling down and my wife shows genuine concern about what he has to say, engaging in the conversation, and saying things like, "I'm here for you if you want to talk about anything." At the same time, she would sometimes talk about me, always on the positive side. For example, one time I was fixing the kitchen sink, and she told him my husband is great. I'm looking at him right now fixing the kitchen sink, and he is so attractive to me, even after all these years. They also recalled the discussion they had 2 weeks in, about the fact that she was pansexual and the risk of chatting so much. My wife stated, "I was so worried. I thought that there was a risk of chatting with you so much, but right now I don't feel it. I only see you as a friend." 6 weeks in. My wife tells him the story about how her father passed away, and how it had a great impact in her life, and how it erased her wishes to be a mother. At this point she tells me that she discussed this with him, and I tell her to reduce the time she spends on the forum. She then tells him that she got in a fight with me, because of the amount of time she is spending talking with him. She tells him that her marriage comes first, and that she is considering cutting ties with him 100%. Vicente replies that he doesn't understand, that this is just a friendship, and that I'm overreacting. She replies that he is not overreacting, because if he was the one chatting all day with someone I would be jealous too. Vicente asks, "What are you going to do then?" And she replies, "I don't know. I really like talking to you. I must confess I'm attracted to your personality, and you have a positive effect in me, but up to this point I honestly don't have any romantic feelings for you, and I value you no more than as a friend, but considering the attraction, if we continue chatting like this I may develop feelings for you in the future, and I don't want to take that risk. I need time to think." The next day they started chatting again, casually, about the forum, and about the TV show Vicente was watching. Vicente says that she should watch it too. This is when she began to look on Netflix if the show was available, and then I requested her cell phone. In all the texts I read, there were no romantic or sexual exchanges at all, but she showed a lot of admiration. Things like, "You're amazing, you're so great, I could talk with you all day, and I wish I was more like you," were very common. It was clear that she was attracted to him, and that she was playing with fire by engaging in these conversations. All the time I thought she was investing in the forum, but in reality she was also talking with him. She stated that although the time was excessive, she was having fun and never saw it as a menace to our relationship. I asked her why keeping the excessive amount of time spent a secret, and she replied that you were going to worry over nothing and probably ask me to cut ties with him, and I didn't want that. She then recognized that she was in a way attracted to his personality, but that he never saw him as more than a friend. She said, "I will say goodbye and block him if this is going to be a problem for us," so she did, without me requesting it. A few days passed, and I noticed she was kinda sad. I asked her what was wrong and she said that she missed Vicente, and that she feels bad that she ended things with them that way. She states that there was nothing wrong with the relationship they had, that was a platonic friendship between people. She resents me for it. She doesn't show guilt and sees me as the bad guy. She says that sometimes she feels that she wants to be alone so she can do whatever she wants, and that sometimes she feels bad that she didn't have the chance to experiment before being with me, as I was her first boyfriend. Obviously this had a great impact on her, so I started looking on the internet about what happened to her. I looked at an article describing what an emotional affair is. I must confess I didn't know this was a thing. I knew about physical/sexual affairs, but this concept was brand new to me. I shared the article with my wife. My wife reads it and gets mad as hell. I'm not a cheater. This is not what happened to me at all. I remember that she has a journal. I asked her if she would share with me what she wrote during those 6 weeks. She agrees. The first few days, she wrote things like "I love working with Vicente in the forum." Then, she would start referring to Vicente as just him or we, writing things like "I could talk with him all day" or "today we talked about." I noted that this reads like a 15-year-old writing about her crush, and she was noticeably very embarrassed about it, but insisted that she was writing about her new amazing friend and nothing more. A few days have passed, and we are in the park with our dog. She suddenly starts crying and gives me a tight hug, saying that she is very sorry, sobbing. She then explains that she read the article again, and that this may be in fact an emotional affair, but she didn't have a clue. If I knew that this was an affair, I would never have done it. She recognizes that what she did was highly inappropriate, and that she is very sorry it happened. From then on, we start to make some changes to our life. Dating more, chatting more, going out more. Amazing sex, every day. Still, I cannot forget what she did, so I would bring the subject up every single day. We would get mad, yell, and she would cry stating that I hate myself for what I did to you. She states that her self-esteem has lowered because she now sees herself as a cheater. April 2021, and she is still a part of the forum. She has invested over a year in that forum and is still something extremely important for her. Although she blocked him for personal messages, she can still see his posts. She states that, ideally, she would have to leave the forum so he cannot see him again and be reminded of what happened, but the forum is too special for her. She has invested a lot of time and energy there and knows other people there too. I ask her if she reads his messages. She says that she doesn't enter his topics, but from time to time he sees his messages in other people's topics, and it reminds her of the good times she shared with him. One day, she decides to unblock him, stating that I don't want to keep treating him as someone special by having to block him. I want him to be just a normal guy in the forum. I tell her that doesn't make any sense to me, that I'm extremely disappointed in the fact that she decided to unblock him, so I storm out of the room. 5 minutes later and she tells me it's done. I erased my account from the forum and I'm not going back. I'm shocked, I never thought she would do that. My marriage is more important. This is going to hurt, but I deserve it. May 2021, we travel a lot, every weekend. Somehow, I still cannot erase from my mind what she did, and I overall feel very depressed. I talk about it, stating that the reason for my depression was her affair. She states that she wants to forget that and focus on our relationship. She now assures me that he has gone 100% from her mind, that he is irrelevant and wants to work in our marriage. 3 days ago, she told me, "I want to have kids with you." I must say, one part of me felt extremely happy, and the other very sad, because what happened is still fresh to me. Yesterday, I brought this subject up again. We talked about it all day long. She says that she doesn't consider this an emotional affair, but it was definitely going in that direction. She says that she is now prepared to avoid something like this to ever happen again to us. She says that she hates herself, with a passion, for what she did, and that she doesn't deserve anything. I ask her what would have happened if she started developing romantic feelings towards him, and she says I would have blocked him in an instant. I was playing with fire, but I definitely didn't want to get burned. One part of me hates her for what she did, and another loves her deeply. I feel overall depressed and honestly, I don't know what to do to feel better. Sometimes I feel I'm overreacting, and that this was getting near the emotional affair territory, but it wasn't one per se. And sometimes I feel that this was in fact an emotional affair, and that my wife is a cheater, and I'm living with a cheater. Thank you for reading, and I would like to know your opinion and any tips to feel better.